Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to respond to the oral question number 155 of 2019 that was asked by the opposition member of the House, Honorable Andritia Bainimarama. Honorable Speaker, the National iTaukei Resource Owners Council, which he's referring to, was established in 2015. And the objective of the Council is to support active participation and capacity building of iTaukei resource owners, policy development, the planning, management, and implementation of activities relating to iTaukei land and its resources. The Council ensures the participation of iTaukei in the decision-making process that affects the resources and supports efforts to increase the resilience of iTaukei communities against the impacts of climate change and natural disasters. There are further areas of the responsibilities. The objective of the Council is, of course, to promote the capacity development of the iTaukei, as I've said, to make informed decisions on the sustainable development, sustainable management of their natural resources, to ensure the participation of the iTaukei in decision-making processes that affect their resources, and support efforts to increase the resiliency of the local iTaukei communities against the impacts of climate change and natural disasters. The Permanent Secretary is the Chairman of the Council, and members are representatives from the Yombulo communities within the provinces. Through the Permanent Secretary of iTaukei Affairs, the Council is linked to other boards, council and committees regarding issues arising from the Council, and these bodies include the National Environment Council, the National Climate Change Coordinating Committee, and the National RED and Steering Committee. Initially, Mr. Speaker, the Council was funded through GIZ. This is the German agency, in conjunction with the RED Plus efforts from 2015. And efforts have been focused on acquiring government funding for the initiative. Having received formal acknowledgement through the National Environment Council and discussions with relevant partners on funding this financial year, last year, 2018-2019, government had agreed to fund this initiative, and previous efforts were also focused on capacity building, where sessions were held in Mandawe. This year, the scope has changed, adapting an on-site learning approach through the participants, approach for participants with a field visit, which was conducted in Tikino Nabitiasawa from the 13th to the 15th of March 2019. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the function of the National iTaukei Resource Owners Council will support the active participation and capacity building of iTaukei resource owners in policy development. In consultation with resource owners, provide advice to programs and projects seeking access to land for the activities. Where appropriate, actively and with knowledge, represent the interests of the iTaukei in meetings and consultations, and make recommendations on the sustainable management of natural resources and protection of ecosystem services. These include wetland conservation, mangrove management, sustainable forest management, and coastal and marine management, and sustainable land use practices. It also acts as the forest owners' representatives for the purpose of the forest policy, also promote free, prior and informed consent process as a consultation and decision-making requirement for all development activities in the province, ensure the traditional knowledge and expressions of culture of the iTaukei are protected, provide inputs into the development and implementation of climate change adaptation strategies to strengthen the capacities of iTaukei communities to cope with the impacts of climate change. and to facilitate efforts for iTaukei communities to support relevant government institutions in monitoring the utilization of their natural resources. To ensure the effective monitoring and enforcement of VIA conditions, facilitate and promote local community awareness raising programs, workshops, training and other capacity building initiatives on sustainable natural resource management, climate change adaptation and mitigation, and of course disaster risk reduction. Also, the Council is also to identify and promote best practices and successful community-based resource and land use management, climate change adaptation and other sustainable livelihood approaches from around the country. And this includes information gathering and compilation of experiences from the provinces. Also required to make recommendations to the iTaukei Affairs Board on community-based natural resources management and provide support on the implementation of TAB resolutions affecting natural resources. Also to ensure the effective participation of the iTaukei resource owners in the RED activities. Allow for information exchange on lessons learned, issues in promoting socio-economic enhancement and development, including resource mapping within provinces. And the Council shall, of course, perform any other functions that the iTaukei Affairs Board confers on it from time to time. So, to wrap it up, Mr. Speaker, the Council, the National iTaukei Resource Owners Council, was established in 2015 to support active participation and capacity building of iTaukei resource owners, its policy development, the planning management, and implementation of activities relating to iTaukei land and its resources. The Council ensures the participation of iTaukei in the decision-making processes that affect the resources and support the efforts to increase the resilience of iTaukei communities against the impacts of climate change and natural disasters. Mr. Speaker, prior to 2015, the Council was funded through the GAZE RED Plus program, and in 2015, noting the significance of the program, the Permanent Secretary then, Mr. Katani Tumbo, utilized ministry savings to fund the program. Activities undertaken were focused on capacity building, capacity building workshops and meetings that were held in Nandawe. Mr. Speaker, the success of the program can be measured in the number of Yaumbula management support teams that have been established within the provinces, within the districts and the villages. And Mr. Speaker, sir, the National iTaukei Resource Owners Council was allocated an amount of 50,000 from its budgetary allocation for 2018-2019, and the amount of 63,500 this year to conduct its operation. The establishment of this council provided a voice for our iTaukei resource owners to be heard at the national level policy making. The implementation of the National iTaukei Resource Owners meeting last year provided the much needed platform where members who represented the 14 provinces around Fiji brought their issues on environmental degradation, economic exploitation, and as well as social issues that are faced at the grassroots, where the grassroots are tabled. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is worth noting that the Council is recognized by the National Environment Council, NEC, and under the Council chairmanship tabulates these issues at this high-level policy-making arena. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National iTaukei Resource Owners Council proudly provides a solid linkages and leverages to the existing Yaumbula Management Committee that exists at the grassroots level, and as well as the conservation officers whose work are basically centered on the implementation of natural resources management programs, as well as capacity building. Mr. Speaker, sir, imagine the impetus that these collaborations within the existing structures has provided for our iTaukei communities. The Ministry of iTaukei Affairs, through its capacity building component, was also able to engage the members of the National iTaukei Resource Management Council to explore best resource management practices, climate change adaptive measures and economic models from other provinces within Fiji. This exposure surely made impacts as we witnessed the groundswell commitment of resource owners that have adopted these practices at the provincial level that have also been reported through provincial meetings. The Ministry of Taukei is forecasting on the Council in its budget allocation, as I've said, in accordance to the PSIP budget submission 2018-2019. The request was for the amount of 500,000 in this year, the amount of $63,500, and this included trips that would allow for best practices and capacity building opportunities for individuals, including meetings for foreign members. A similar program, Mr. Speaker, is to be undertaken this financial year for a trip to Ngau, Lomaiviti, to assist the resilience project the communities have implemented to address the water inundation experienced by coastal communities. Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand with the utmost confidence and assure the members of Parliament, including Honourable Andi Ritian Genbarabi, that the Minister of iTaukei Affairs in seeing the potential that the National iTaukei Resource Management Council has for the iTaukei communities has promptly secured funding from donor partners for the implementation of its activities for this new financial year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.